Hey everybody, Chris here from It's Mead Made, and today we are going to be doing some updates to my P1S. So, let's go ahead and get right into this video. So, if you haven't already noticed, we are in the workshop, and we can finally have space to be able to put printers and not be cramped on a little table. So if you haven't seen my walkthrough of the shop, I'll go ahead and put a link over here, I don't know where it's at. But anyway, we are ready to get started modding my P1S. Now, there are a few upgrades that are completely free. There's some things to print to just make your life easier when it comes to this machine. And the other thing is BIGTREETECH actually sent me some stuff to be able to upgrade this. I'm going to be adding a Panda Touch on here to be able to replace or stop using this 90s car radio right here. And I have some other little upgrades that I think are going to be really nice. Now, before we get into this, I just have to say that BIGTREETECH did send me this stuff for free, but they did not pay me for this. They don't get to say what I'm going to say about it, and they were fully aware that I was not going to let them see this or anything. So they're going to see this for the first time, just like you guys. So this is going to be just my first thoughts and what I think about this stuff. And a few of them I've already been working on to be able to get you a better, review of this stuff. But there are some cool things to be able to add to this that, well, you can make the decision whether it's worth it for you. So now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about what we're going to actually do to this machine. So some of these things we're going to 3D print, and they are free, and I am going to be putting all of the references down below in the description for you. So if you're interested in any of these things, just go ahead, look in the description, they're all there. Also, links to these products as well, if you're wanting to get them for yourself. Alright, so the very first thing is, I honestly don't even think it's a modification or anything like that. It's just stupid. And I love it. It might be my favorite thing, because of how stupid it is. But what it is it's actually a Purge strip holder. So it actually has a little hook, and you just hook it on the side right there. And you're probably wondering, what is a Purge strip holder? You know those little things, those little strips on your build plate? Like every single print, they pop off and they get all over your space and they're just everywhere. It makes it something to where you can take them and then you just drop them in there, and then they stick. And I have tons of these, and I don't know why, but I think it's hilarious, and I love to just collect them now. So all of my prints that I've been doing, I've just been sticking them in there. Is it something that's going to change your life? Probably not. Is it stupid? Absolutely. Is it awesome? That's also an absolutely. So I don't know. I saw this thing and I decided to get it because I don't know about you, but I have had piles of these things, and I know for a fact there's some people in my community that have sent me pictures of big piles of them. So for those of you that are like OCD and like to collect these little things, now you have a holder and you can display them on your 3D printer. I'm pretty sure once I fill this thing up, I'm going to print another one and just line this eventually because I think it's dumb and I love it. So the next thing is a poop collection bin. Now, these things are really nice, especially if you have your thing up against a wall, because I do know some people that put them right up against the edge, and then there's just a trash can behind for it to just kind of go right in the trash, which is also brilliant to do. If you're not doing that and you are able to, I would just do that. But for those of us that are kind of putting it up against a wall, every once in a while, if you don't have something to collect it, you're having to come back behind, grab it, scoop it out, and put it somewhere. Now, these, I've tested different ones in the past, and they're all just, some of them look really cool and stuff like that, but they're just too small. Now, I did find this one is a lot bigger. I mean, it holds a lot. And it has just a little bit of an angle, so it'll kind of keep pushing it away. But it will start to pile up right there. I will notice that. But instead of having to reach around, I'll just move my hand, move it over a little, and let it keep filling up. But the nice thing about this is it's literally like a 2-wall thickness, and that's it. It's a pretty quick print, and it fits perfectly. So, you can easily see once it starts filling up. And I really think that this is one of the most useful things that you can first print when you have a P1S. is some kind of poop chute collector. This one has been my favorite one out of all of the ones that I've tested, because most of the ones I've tested I just ended up throwing away because there's not a lot of volume. I wish there was some that would just kind of slide it out and you got a big tray that you can just kind of scoop them. But I haven't found any like that. If you know of any, just let me know. Because I've got the space and I would like to have big, so I don't have to keep emptying this thing. Out of all of the things that I'm showing you today, this thing is probably the most useful thing that you can print if you have a P1S or even an X1 Carbon. So definitely you want to print one of these. Well, you definitely might be want to print one of these too, because this is... I can't get over how dumb the thing is. Like, it's great. Now, the next thing is for those of you that don't have an AMS, or for those of you that aren't wanting to use your AMS all the time. Now, this is a spool holder, and it's a side-mounting spool holder. So this thing just hooks right on the side, just like this stupid Purge holder. I can't get over that. I'm sorry. What you do is you just hang it on there, and then you connect your Bowden tube. And then it connects right here. Now, I did notice that it does, like, lift off. It comes off really easy because it's just hooking. It has to have weight on it to stay on. So, I'll just put it on there. Then I put my spool, and there you go. And I have even noticed that empty spools, it still holds on really well. So, this I've used for a couple prints, and it does a really nice job because it's got a nice feed entry right here, and then it just goes right through. And even when you're loading your filament, it goes in perfectly. So this is also a very useful modification that is just a little bit of filament. Now, the one thing I will say about this, I printed this at a 40% infill because I wanted this strong because of the weight of these spools, and I just wanted it to be nice and rigid. So that's the one thing I will tell you about this, because it didn't take very long to print just because it's already so thin, but those areas are really solid, and I don't have to worry about it like breaking over time. So this next mod is something that I have had for a while, and it's one of those things that's awesome. So you can see that I had a fail a little while back, and I just left the trash in here. Like, you can see all of these like little white strands, and these are honestly, they're easy to get out of here. Like, there we go. I've cleaned that up for the most part. But that's not the big thing here. Every single time that I ever was just trying to like scoop everything out of here, it would always get caught right here on the edge. And what I have is a little 3D printed lip. It's just a rounded lip. That way I can actually just slide and get all of my filament and all those little goobers like right out of there easily. But you can see like how nice this is to be able to just kind of go like this, and I can get it all out. And like there'll be a few little pieces here and there that'll stick. But the bottoms of these printers do get dirty when you've got little fails and all other little like, you know, junk in there. And I have specifically left this thing that dirty just for this to show you how easy it is. But this little 3D printed like rounded lip is so nice, and it helps. It is a nice modification because it's like hollow back here, and it's always a pain, and you have to get like a little vacuum to suck out every bit if you're OCD. But it's one of those things that I'm just not a fan of how this is designed, because it could have just been like, let's bring this lip down so you can just sweep everything else out. So I'm hoping like in the future they change that design, but for right now, this little print is really nice to be able to just sweep out all of those little bits of filament. So BIGTREETECH sent me these build plates, and let's go ahead, jump over an overhead shot so I can show you these build plates, because I did a bunch of different prints to really see what they do. This is the one thing, depending on what build plate you use all the time, they can wear out. Like the cooling plate, I know that can wear out over time, and then it can rip up if your print sticks too well to the bed. So this is actually just the Bambu PEI sheet, and it's got the spring steel and it's flexible. Now, getting one of these is fantastic. Now, the one thing that I will say is Bambu does sell their own, and you can totally use those and just keep staying with the same brand. But I will say I have seen zero difference between the BIGTREETECH build plates versus the regular Bambu build plates. And this is the one thing about the BIGTREETECH build plates that I really like. Because I'll just show you this. Like, I bought this one on Amazon, and it was just a generic build plate. And if you notice, there's no markings right here. And every single time you put this in the printer, it is going to throw an error. Now, this plate does work well, but this is my biggest issue with this thing, and it's kind of a big pain in the butt. So if you look at the bottom of this Bambu build plate, right here, this is like a little QR code, and the printer actually scans this to confirm what is the actual build plate. And this doesn't have anything on it. It's just blank on both sides. So every single time I would print with this thing, it would throw an error. And I would have to actually say, okay, just ignore that and keep printing. It's so annoying. But the nice thing about the BIGTREETECH, they have the exact same little QR code. So it will actually scan it and keep printing beautifully. There is a caveat, but it's kind of worth it. And that is what's on the back of these. Because these are dual build plates and you can print on both sides. So if I flip it over here, you can see it's completely blank. But check out this awesome texture. And I'm going to show you all of these. So we've got one that is got this really cool diamond texture. There's another one that's just completely smooth that you get this glass finish. And then there's this one that is like a carbon fiber look to it. So here, let's zoom in there. Yeah, you can see, like, it's like carbon fiber. It's really cool. So on the other side, where there's like the cool sides, there is nothing. So you're still going to get that same error, but you get a really cool result. So what I did was I printed a bunch of these little boxes. They're like little utility boxes, and they're actually kind of nice. So this actually prints in two parts, the lid and then the bottom part. So what I did was I did the first few layers in a black filament, and then I did the rest in this yellow, just because I thought it would kind of look cool, and I think it does. But this was really just to show you a nice smooth surface so you could see what the results are. And I had zero issues with my bed adhesion. I had to change absolutely nothing in my settings. It's just my typical settings when I was printing on this side. So this right here was just printing on the build plate with no brim, no nothing, and it printed beautifully. So if we zoom in here, you can see you just got this really nice little texture. And it's the exact same texture as the Bambu PEI sheet as well. Like, they are, I can't tell a difference between them when I'm physically printing. And that is on every single one of these. So all three of these, zero difference when we're printing on this side. Because this side is a PEI sheet. It's the other sides that I really want to talk about, because I was honestly kind of amazed by this. So once again, here's the carbon fiber. And here is the carbon fiber print. So this is the really cool thing. This has just a very subtle texture. And you can only feel it on the build plate when you drag your nail across it. But just that little bit, when it's printing, it will actually transfer that texture over to your first layer. So you can actually have prints that look like you have like a carbon fiber like vinyl sticker on it. Or actually make it just look like carbon fiber. So, and just to be upfront and honest, I have never messed with one of these types of like build plates. And I was amazed by the results of it, because like it looks the same like when you're looking at this and looking at this. So this is what this looks like. And it does have a little bit of a, like, you can feel those ridges just like you could feel it on this. So the next one is the completely smooth one, and you can guess it. So this is like printing on glass. Like, I used to print glass on all of my Ender 3s, and this feels the exact same. It is crazy smooth, and you just want to keep like rubbing it because it's so smooth. But the big thing here is you can kind of see that some of my filament streaks right there, like, let me see, there you go. So you can see them right there. But one thing you could do is you could increase your flow on your first layer, just so you can make sure that you're getting a really good squish on the build plate to get rid of those kind of lines. But this is just really nice because, like, look at that reflection. I've done nothing to this. I just pulled it off the build plate. Well, I've done this a lot. But you can see, like, that sheen. It's beautiful. Alright, now the next one, and this one by far is the coolest. So this has got a really awesome like pattern on it. It's like this like fractal like diamond pattern or triangle pattern. And when you 3D print it, it looks just like that. And it is so smooth. It's really similar to this glass one, like this like smooth one that I did. But you get this really cool texture. And it looks like it's almost like a sticker. Because like the first time I showed this to my wife, I was like, check this out. She's like, how did you even do that? And I was like, oh, it's just magic. But it's definitely this build plate. This build plate is like super smooth. And I guess I will say this, I didn't get it to stick the very first time I printed this one specifically. And I had to slow down my first layer. I slowed it down to 25 millimeters a second, and then it stuck beautifully. And I think that's just because it's so smooth, and maybe it's because also I didn't like clean the build plate when I opened it out of the package, but the second time I got some isopropyl alcohol, wiped it down really nice, and then this was my result, and it was a perfect print. So I will say I did get a failed print, but the second print, after I slowed it down a little bit, this is my results, and it just turned out really cool. I mean, come on, look at that. And the same thing, you could see, like, I got a little bit of a line right there, but, I mean, when you look at it from a certain angle, you can't even see it. Like, look at that. Look at that. Would you just look at it? So this one's really neat, minus the having to slow down to make it stick. Alright, so now there's this one, and I'm not gonna lie, I am saving the best for last, because this build plate, I don't know what it is about this, but it is so awesome. So what they call this build plate is the Double-CryoGrip, and it feels like a truck liner bed. Like, it's got this, like, crazy, like, rubbery grip to it, and I don't know if you can see, like, it's kind of shiny, and that's, like, a rubbery shiny. Like, it's a weird feeling. Like, I wish I could, like, fully describe the feeling of this, but I will tell you this thing grips. I mean, it holds on to your 3D prints like crazy. Because if you can kind of see, I've been printing a ton on this one specifically. Like, I've printed a couple little things on each one of these other build plates just to make sure they work good. But this one, I have been using non-stop since I've, like, gotten done with all of my other tests. So not only does it grip really well, this is the other kind of odd thing about it. It gives you, like, this weird finish. Like, it almost feels like it's rubbery, but the filament is so smooth, it's like a mix between, like, a rubber feel and a smooth feel. Like, it's so interesting. And let's see. You can kind of see how it transfers that grip texture right to it. And I don't know. Like, it's just so strange to be able to explain this. But this build plate is by far my absolute favorite. And the one thing about this specific build plate, I'm probably going to go buy one for my X1 Carbon and my A1. Because these fit all the Bambu printers. So you can actually use this on any of them. And that's with all of these other build plates as well. And that's so cool that they've made them to where you can use them on any machine. And this grip, I mean, it grips. But that's the last I'm going to say about build plates. But if you want something that grips and you're having a lot of adhesion issues, this is going to be your saving grace. So the next thing I have is the Panda Lux. And this is an LED strip, and a magnetic LED strip that is super easy to install, and you put it right there in the machine. So let's go ahead and I'm going to show you how to install this, and let's see what it actually does for us. So this is the front door, and we're looking at behind the front. You're going to see this like cloth tape, and what you're going to want to do is remove that. So just gently pull it back, because there are other wires and things like that, and you want to just kind of move it out of your way. So once you pull back this tape, and don't let it touch itself, because you want to stick it back when we're done. And you see this little connection point. We're going to go ahead and take this connection point and kind of pull this out. And there we go. So that's the first step we want to do to be able to unplug the light that's in the printer right now. Now the next thing is we're going to just stick this underneath the lip right here. So what we're going to do is right here is the metal frame. I'm just going to clip this right underneath here, and it's magnetized, so it'll just stick right there. So if you open the door, it's literally just right here clipped underneath it. So if we open our door, it's clipped just right up underneath here. So the big thing, you just want to make sure that the wire is on this side of the printer, right where the hinge is. So the light kit comes with a little circuit board and this little wire. So you want to plug in this wire, and on the other end, you want to plug this into the little connector that the plug we just unplugged was. And that is right here. And then we're going to take this tape and just kind of cover it back up and kind of tuck it in there. And there we go. So now we just got to turn this machine on and see our new light in here. All right, so now we have it on and we can see how much brighter it is in here. So I'm going to go ahead, we'll do a test print so we can see a before and after. So here is the before and after with the Panda Lux, and it absolutely does brighten it up in there with the time lapse. And now the last modification, or I guess this is, technically an upgrade. Or is modification and upgrade the same thing? I don't know. So basically what we're going to do is we are going to be adding a touchscreen to this, just like an X1 Carbon. I have so many troubles with this touchscreen. It's kind of cumbersome. And being able to have a touchscreen to be able to control our printer and also just start prints and everything like that, I'm really excited for. So let's jump a little closer so I can show you the install process of this and then show you how well this thing actually works. So for the Panda Touch, what you get in the box is you get a cool little sticker that, I might even put this on my printer. And then you've got a little manual, you get a little thank you, and the best part is the actual Panda Touch. So it's wrapped nicely here. And there it is. So you can see it's actually got a nice size screen on there. And there's a little USB port for your files. And then you can also see here you've got differences between using your battery or actually plugging it in. So this is also a magnetic plate, which is really nice. So you can take this off or you can have it on the magnetic plate. And we're going to put that base plate on the printer. Then we have the box with the little rubber ducky. He's kind of collapsed on himself. And inside we've got the little base plate. We've got the USB cord and a nice little Allen key here, as well as some screws. So all we're going to do is we've got this 3M stick here, and we're going to peel this off and then put it wherever we want. So a lot of people actually just put it right here like this, which I get because the aesthetics of it going right there. But then you're going to have this cable that's running right here and going in this hole. And I would rather have it over here and not see that cable being run in the hole. So I'm going to go ahead and just actually attach it over here as far as I can go. So the first thing we're going to do is I am going to screw this base plate on right here. So we just need to remove the screws from the bag. Then what we're going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and take this plate off. So then we can see we've got these two little holes for the screws, and I'm just going to go ahead and put those screws right in there. Alright, so all I did was I took off the little sticker and stuck this right there on the edge and lined it up real nice. And then I took my USB cable and kind of poked it up through this hole and plugged in the USB-C into this port right here, right in the back, so it can power it. Then the other end, it is just a plain USB, and I plugged that right into the slot we have for a USB right here. And I just took the little twist tie that this wire came with and tied it together really nicely. And then it just kind of tucks up underneath here to where I don't have wires dangling out, and it's looking really nice. So now all I have to do is plug in the machine, turn it on, and let's put the faceplate on. So once it turns on, all you've got to do is the prompts that it guides you through. There is some information like your IP address and stuff like that. That's why I didn't really want to show that process, but it was really easy to install and only took me a minute because they have some really good prompts that, you know, it'll show you and walk you through the process to connect it to your printer. So this is like the home screen, and you can see right here on the side, I can easily turn on my light. So you can see here, I'm turning it on and off, like it's connected. And then here I can change my like nozzle temperature. So I could say turn this to 200 degrees. Now it's going to heat up, and I can heat up my bed to say 50 degrees, and that'll start heating up. And you can kind of see it heating up right there, and I can also see it over here on this panel that it's starting to heat up. Now the other thing is here I can affect what speed I'm doing. I can do ludicrous, sport, standard, or silent, which is really cool to switch between. Then on the bottom here is the fans. I can turn my fans on, so like I can turn those on all the way. And I hear them kicking on. Then I can just turn them back down and turn them off. I can also change my filament. I can load it, unload it. This is honestly a lot like the X1, like the interface with the X1 Carbon. So if you have one of those, it's going to be very familiar. And then I can go in, if I had a jump drive plugged in right here, I could just select my files and hit print. I've got the other information for like just the general devices. So like my auto sleep, I can make it sleep in 5 minutes, so, or always on. And for me, I'm going to say 5 minutes because it doesn't need to be on that long. You can affect the brightness, which is kind of nice because this is very bright. But for the video, I'll go ahead and crank this up so you guys can see it. And you can also restart it and restore to factory settings. And this is the other cool thing. If you run a print farm, you can actually connect multiple printers to this one device. Now for me, I don't want to connect it to anything else. I just want it to like be exclusive for this. But that's a really interesting setting to where you can just go through and you can add a printer or add a group, and you can control multiple printers from one little panel. That's just a really nice feature, especially for those of you that have a lot of printers and you're printing a ton. I could see how this could save you time. And that's pretty much it. So I'm going to print a couple things on it to just see how I like it. But overall, just the interface and how I can like navigate between things, it feels like the X1 Carbon and all of the settings that is just you're used to. So I'm really excited to like get into this and start using this a lot to be able to control what I need to and never have to go back to this little control. Like, I just don't like this control. I love the printer. I don't like the interface. But this has completely changed this, and now I'm going to be super happy, I think. So those are all the modifications and upgrades that I thought were really cool to have for my P1S. Now, I realize that there are so many different things that we could do to this, and I mean, there are so many STLs out there for your P1S, and honestly, all of the Bambu printers, people are just creating so many things, and some of them are so amazing. Like, let's solve the issue with the printer and having a side spool. Yes, and let's make the dumbest thing ever and collect our purge strips. I mean, I can't get over this dumb thing, and I love it, and I absolutely love it. And then when it comes to all of these upgrades from BIGTREETECH, I mean, some of them are like, I mean, they're game changers. Being able to not mess with this screen anymore, and I can actually have a touch screen, I'm going to love this printer even more now. And I tell you what, this flex plate, I love this flex plate. I honestly cannot sing its praises enough. And I'm not gonna lie, when they said they were gonna send me some flex plates, I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, it's a flex plate. But I wasn't expecting the results I was getting off of this thing, because it is such a great grip. And if you're looking for stuff that have a little bit of a unique spin on your 3D prints to get a cool surface, or if you're having adhesion issues, these flex plates are really nice because I've printed quite a few things on all of them, and I haven't had any issues, except for the one that I told you I had to slow down on one of these surfaces. But after that, I mean, it printed beautifully. So if you've really liked this video and you want to see more of this, of like me adding modifications and stuff like that, or just useful prints for your 3D printers, let me know. Or if I've missed something, if like, oh wait, you haven't done this to your printer yet, and I just want to say thanks to BIGTREETECH for sending me this stuff, because I cannot wait to start using this. And if you guys want to see a review of this later on after I've gotten a really good hands-on with it, just let me know. But other than that, I wish you guys a great day, and I will see you in this next video right here.